gonna work. Okay. Okay, mic check. Check. We're looking good. Everything is set. Mr. Cutler, once you give me the thumbs up, I'll go. Good. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out. So those of you who are here, we really appreciate your presence. This is our annual grade 12 speech event. We are webcasting this, and the link was sent out via my school yesterday. So if anyone is tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the sound is cleared up today. We worked hard on that, and it should be nice and clear. Okay, this is an opportunity, and I know when it's all said and done, what many of us say is that this is the highlight of the year. That for the grade 12s, this is a chance to speak, and to speak on something that's not prescribed, but rather to speak about something that's important for them. The chance to speak when people will listen to anything they say, and speak with the understanding that you don't know when that opportunity is going to come again. So this is a great event. We really enjoy it, and yesterday's speeches were wonderful. So we look forward to today's. Now, this speech is also partial fulfillment for grad transitions, and so this is a grad requirement. We ask our students to show their forward thinking and the reflection on where they have been and where they are right now in this speech. We have 11 speakers today. So today we'll be hearing from Katie O'Neill, Ecam, Kai, Toby, Bella, Paige, Kirsten, Larry, Riley, Alexis, and Riley. Now, I'm not going to introduce them all. Once we get things going, they have the order here. Their job is to come on up, introduce themselves, and to speak straight into the mic. And our hope, therefore, is that you'll stay for all of them. Anticipate that with 11 speakers at 3 to 5 minutes each, we should be done in an hour-ish, possibly a little bit more. Once we hit 2 o'clock, we will take just a couple of minute break in order to let the classes transition so we don't have too much noise. So we'll just pause briefly at that point in time. So again, thank you. Hope you really enjoy, and when we're complete, we'll show them our support. So our first speaker today is streaming that started. Okay, we're just going to make sure that this is indeed streaming live. Momentary pause. If you're out there and you are watching this as a stream, you know already that it's working, and we don't. It's not up yet? Okay. Yep. Okay, so we're just making sure that we are indeed live and that this will go out. We know that there are some people watching today. And if you do want to revisit this will stay on that YouTube channel. The link has been sent out, so you can rewatch it as many times as you so desire. All right, coming up first today, our first speaker is Katie O'Neill. Can we welcome her to the podium?
Hi, I'm Katie, introduced prior to this. These speeches ask us to consider what we believe. And my response is that I believe in nothing. I believe wholeheartedly that there is no overarching meaning and no purpose to my life. I'm irrelevant in the face of the universe. What I do is unimportant and impermanent, and one day, not a single trace of what I once was will still be. There exists no otherworldly force to give me a direction, and at the end of the day, I am fundamentally alone with my own thoughts. And all of that, and the acceptance of it, is perhaps the most important lesson I've learned over my short years of existence, and the one that has brought me the most happiness. I have always wanted to find the truth of things, to find the answer that is true both fundamentally and functionally. I've always struggled where the logic of something isn't immediately apparent, or is lacking entirely. Just because something worked for someone else, or as a tradition, didn't make it true to me. And try as I might, I was never able to just accept anything. If an idea didn't sit right, I would pick at it, pull up at the edges, not even consciously, until I picked away all of the parts that just didn't fit perfectly, weren't as true as I could possibly conceive of. I'm still like that. I was about 13 when I was beginning to comprehend the utter openness of my world as a whole. When you're a kid, there are a lot of whys that can be answered. I exist because of my parents, and their parents, and so on. What I'm meant to do is go to school and come home and play and eat and learn and all sorts of other little things. I'm a good person if I'm kind and caring and share my toys and don't hurt other people. But when you're older, the answers are harder to find. Your parents are human and fallible, and what they tell you to do is not your purpose. You have to decide to prioritize whatever is your meaning, whether it's living in the moment or planning for the future, serving a higher purpose or being personally happy. And the thing that kept hitting me was there really is no right answer that works for everybody. People claim to have found purpose, some in their work, or in instant gratification, or in service to their beliefs, and sometimes, maybe many times, it is those same people who go out again and again looking for a green light that they will never find. People usually haven't thought it through all the way, but I was convinced that if I weighed all of the possible paths long enough, I could find some holy truth that would guide my life and bring me peace and fulfillment. But I was wrong. The answer to my question, as far as I can see, is that none of the answers are correct, because there is no answer. The question is a construct, us trying to impose some human grandeur onto the impossibility of all that is. We are born and we die, and then we are part of a long and inescapable heritage of obscurity that lasts longer than these fragile brains of ours could even begin to comprehend. One could contemplate the other sides of us, these unimportant, momentarily sentient beasts for one's whole life, use a million metaphors and 1,000 thought exercises, but we physically can't even process the thought of it. Life itself is impersonal chaos gathered into being for a short minute before eroding back into a sea of churning possibilities. So we, these happy accidents, are free to determine for ourselves what we want to make of it all. We're free to let go all of the fears that we hold so tightly to, our social anxieties, the animal emotions we let rule us so often. Our existence itself, that is a cause for joy, for contemplation, for curiosity. I feel almost infinite for being purposeless. Any road is open to me in any direction because I'm the only one making these choices, for what I want and for what makes the people around me happy. If there's no final destination and no urgency to reach it, then you have time to stop the car and to read the informational plaques on the side of the road and to admire the view. I see myself taking the side roads of life and taking the scenic route and sometimes leaving the car behind altogether to walk in the middle of the road under a wide open, partially starred void of sky. I see myself being happy with my life in my own way up until the moment it is all irrelevant anyways. And maybe I die and I haven't done anything anyone will remember me by, or been the most successful by some utterly insignificant measure. But life is short and fickle, and I would hate to die knowing that I spent time doing things because I felt I had to, and not because I wanted to. I would much rather die satisfied and forgotten than helplessly serving some concept and unhappy, but remembered. I believe in nothing, and because of it I believe in everything.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ekam, and although I've been attending Aberdeen Hall for 3 years now, approximately 37.4% of the Aberdeen population pronounces my name correctly. Those who pronounce it wrong aren't always at fault, and no matter how irritated some might make me, for the past 18 years, this category of people always have made me realize how thankful I am to have such a unique name. I'm a kid grateful for a unique name, experiences, friends, and family. I believe everyone is grateful for someone, and personally, I'm grateful for way too many people. We're told to express our gratitude year long, whether it's birthdays, Christmas, or Thanksgiving, or even funerals when it might be too late. I, however, have always kept my gratitude to myself. But today, I believe is my chance to tell those I love how grateful I am to have them in my life. For the first day of school, from preschool till grade 2, my dad would drop off a very nervous Ekam at her new academic parents' classroom. From grade 3 to 6, my grandpa dropped me off. When grade 7 came, I thought I was way too cool to have my parents buy me, and I went by myself. But I as I decided to go to school by myself and be an individual, I realized that a tradition broke, and along with it died the feeling of meeting a new academic family. Middle school felt like a zoo with so many people, and it was the worst 3 years of my schooling career. For a better environment, I decided to change schools for grade 10 and ended up at my brother's school wearing a uniform. The uniform belonged to Aberdeen Hall. 2 years ago, after many years, a nervous Ecom once again asked her dad to drop her off at the classroom over there in the blue building. The second I stepped foot into my homeroom, I was greeted by two of the many amazing teachers I've had these past 3 years. Thank you, Aberdeen Hall teachers, for always being so welcoming and kind. Each one of you have given me a great learning environment and have always loved us like our parents. Without each one of you, my learning experience wouldn't have been as great and as amazing as it has been. To make an impact on this world, we students needed a stronger foundation, and I believe you've helped strengthen mine. Next, as surprisingly as it may sound, I'm not going to thank my best friend, my backpack, but I'd like to thank the 38 friends and young adults plus and minus a couple, that I've spent the past 3 years with. It has been so much fun getting to know every single one of you, and my high school career wouldn't have been as great as it has been without you guys. You guys are an inspiring bunch, and I'm proud to be part of Aberdeen Hall's 4th graduating class. To my small group of my best amigos in this grade, thank you for accepting Ecom for who she is. Sometimes a 4-year-old child, and sometimes a 40-year-old mother. You guys have helped shape my high school experiences into beautiful memories, and without you, these past 3 years wouldn't have been as great. You're all amazing, and I wish you all the best in your lives. As long as you don't forget me. Finally, to the group of people that have worked to instill good values in the kid who stands here today. To the gang I can never thank enough. Thank you, Bansal family. Thank you to my grandparents, BBG and Babaji, who have always been so caring and lovely. My grandpa sacrificed a lot of family time to go serve his country, while my grandma was one of the first females in her village to actually graduate from high school and start her teaching career. She tackled motherhood and teaching students at the same time, and I'm always very inspired by that. Next, thank you to my star boy, my brother, Rubel, without whom the past 11 years of my life wouldn't be as bright and as great as they've been. Excluding all of those ugly fights, which obviously I should have won. I believe a younger sibling is a friend you get for free, an opportunity to feel mature, superior, and parent-like. And Rubel, you've allowed me to feel that and have helped me become a better version of myself. So Rubel, thank you for being an awesome brother, and please continue to be the smart, brilliant kid you are. I'm leaving Aberdeen Hall to you, so don't worry about me spying and snitching on you, but I'm only going down the hill to UBCO so I can still pop up anytime. Just always remember your sister loves you and is very thankful to have you in her life. Speaking of life, to those who gave me mine, thank you, Mom and Dad. You have done so much for me these past 18 years, and saying it a zillion times wouldn't be enough, but thank you. I believe in family, love, friends, education, and millions of other things because of you. Please just continue to bear with me through my journey and be the amazing knowledge gurus and parents you are. You two mean the world to me, and I know that a lot of the time I can be a difficult kid to handle, but thank you for never giving up on me. As you've said to me many times, Dad, high school is only the first chapter of the countless ones that are yet to come in my life, and I pray to God that you and Mom will always be there at the beginning and end of every chapter, encouraging me and being my strength, because you two are equivalent to God to me. Sorry, I wasn't crying when I was practicing this. Lastly, to everyone I couldn't mention in this long yet short speech, thank you for being part of and making Ecom Joe Bansal's journey amazing. Some lady called Melody Beattie once said, Gratitude turns what we have into enough. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our past, brings peace to today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. And man, do I have a beautiful future because I know so many amazing people are part of it. Thank you, and sorry you had to see me cry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kai Uchiyama, and I am international student at Aberdeen Hall. I was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan, and when I was 15 years old, I decided to take a risk of going to a country whose language I didn't understand at all, and came to study English in Canada. My first year of high school, I went to public school in Vernon, and for my second and third year, I came to Aberdeen Hall, Kelowna. These past 3 years have been very important to me. Today, I would like to talk about how I believe my experience in Canada has changed my life and how Canada's culture inspired me to go to Cambodia for a week in this past spring break. Everyone has had an event that has changed his or her life in a positive way, and the following two are mine. In the past 3 years, I have experienced so many kind of different things. I have been living with a Canadian family. I have made new friends, tried new food, have been inspired by many things like Canadian people's dedication to volunteering, and even I traveled to Cambodia to volunteer myself to help others in any way I can. Studying abroad in Canada allowed me to find a lot of favorite things. I learned about the similarities and differences between Canadian and Japanese culture by living in both, not just by reading textbooks. I have also made lots of friends that will last a lifetime. So far, I have friends from Germany, China, Korea, Brazil, Mexico, France, Thailand, and a few more countries. I have also broadened my perspective and become more adventurous. But at the same time, I have been through some tough times, such as changing schools, not being able to speak Japanese, and be away from my family and friends. It has not been easy to speak and study a different language and to only see my parents once or twice during the school year. Living in a new environment is a real challenge for international students. Since the weather can affect our health, and the new culture may affect our mind and make us less confident in this new environment. Every day can turn into a struggle if you don't have the physical or mental strength to fight a negativity, but my experience in Canada taught me to a stronger person and more independent person. Studying abroad offers great opportunities for a better future. It also has challenges that we must try our best to overcome what happened to make our dream come true. The second key event that has helped change my life because of Canada is my volunteering experience in Cambodia. After seeing so many other students volunteering in Canada and fulfill my own wish of being helpful to others, one day I googled volunteering opportunities and signed up for volunteering in Cambodia. I flew to Cambodia this past spring break for a week and taught kids how to play sports. In Cambodia, they don't get to choose classes like we do. They only have classes like writing, reading, math, and basic world history. There is no PE, art, or English music in Cambodia. I joined this program because I always wanted to go to a place like Cambodia to help people, make a difference, and learn something new. I also love playing sports and taking care of kids. Volunteering there made me happy because I saw that I was helping when I took care of kids and made them smile without speaking their language. After moving to Canada, I had lost my confidence because I was afraid of making mistakes and people judging my English. I am still a shy person, but I learned and believe language is not a barrier between people around the world. It might seem like an obstacle, but the humans connect with each through heart to heart, not voice to voice. So in just 1 week, I learned so much about how selfless and caring people can be, and I know now and how important little things truly are. The kids in Cambodia don't have iPhones, real toys, or any of the comfort we take for granted daily. Yet they have something so many seek: true human companionship and genuine happiness. Sometimes we just need to go back to our roots and realize that connection with other souls at soul, not ego level, in the gift of life. And these are reasons why I believe my experience in Canada and Cambodia have changed my life forever. The experience of being away from my family and friends taught me the importance of showing gratitude to everyone. Changing new environment experience taught me to be a stronger person. The experience of studying subject in English taught me to not give up just because things are hard. And the volunteering in Cambodia experience taught me what true happiness is. That every single piece of experience has taught me that I can learn something new. So I believe that small experiences have made a better person who stands here today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, friends, families, teachers, and coaches. I'm here today to talk to you about the value of sports. So, at the end of the 2011 NFL season, Drew Brees broke Dan Marino's long-standing record for the most passing yards, and in the locker room afterwards, he went out of his way to thank every single person he could, from equipment managers to coaches. And that's what I'm here to do today. To thank certain people and groups for all the hard work they've dedicated to me over the years, and even though I haven't broken any passing record. A quote I really like is that there may be people that have more talent than you, but there's no excuse for anyone to work harder than you. I believe that I'm someone who over the years has grown in how hard I work in life. Since grade 8, I've roughly played 630 hours of sport for the school, or that translates to 26 days, and I personally view that as hard work. So therefore, you can probably draw the conclusion that sports mean a great deal to me. So when I hear the phrase, "it's not all about winning," I'd normally shake my head and walk away, but this speech is about how that idea has changed over time. I'm showing to you how being on these teams has shaped me, and ultimately the lessons have shaped my character. As I look in this room right now, I have formed such great friendships with with people on sport teams. Sports make me feel like I belong, and I definitely felt like I belonged with many of you guys. But specifically today, I'm focusing on coaches, and Google defines a coach as: in sports, a coach is a person involved in direction, instruction, and training of the operation of a sports team or of individual sports people. And a coach may also be a teacher. On every team, a coach has always pushed me to the limit of my mental and physical abilities. And the reason they do this at the time is so we win the next game. But in the long run, they are pushing us so hard to become better people. A quote that really sums up what I'm trying to say is from Coach K, who does the Duke basketball program in America. And he says, "A common mistake among those who work in sport is spending a disproportional amount of time on the X's and O's as compared to time spent learning about the people." I really feel like this emphasizes what I'm trying to say. So whether it's Coach Twig and Coach Spanlow for soccer, or Mr. Hooper and Mr. E or Coach E for basketball, they've always helped me. But to really prove this, I want to talk about two guys more specifically. And the first person today is Coach Scott Twig, and I missed my men's soccer game last night to finish this speech up, so hopefully he's not too mad at me. But seriously, this guy has given so much to the soccer program at this school. And as many as you know, when we first started, we scored 1 goal all season, and 5 years later, we've been to provincials 3 times. I believe results speak for themselves, and he started this program for nothing and created a winning legacy. But something I'll never forget about Mr. Twig is how he never gave up on me, and I have a story to highlight this. It was in grade 11, and I was having a real struggle scoring goals. And I remember for a big game how he considered dropping me, but he believed in me, and he wanted me to show him what I could do that game. But I remember I played really bad, and I still couldn't score. I remember thinking after that how I was never going to get another opportunity to show him or my teammates what I could do. But he didn't give up on me. He continued to play me the rest of the season, and I didn't play great, but he taught me a huge lesson in that, and it's that when people you believe in are struggling, you can't give up on them. This is just one of the many things he's taught me since I was a little boy in grade 8, and now I'm happy and confident to call him a friend. I can honestly say a dream of mine, like many of my teammates in this room, was to win provincials for you and Mr. Spenlove because of all the hard work you put into this team. But there's a short quote that gives me comfort, and I hope you as well, for not achieving that dream. And it's trophies carry dust, but memories last forever. The next coach I want to talk about I thought was going to be here, but ironically he's coaching golf today, and that's Mr. Hooper. And he's only taught me one this year in basketball, but I learned a lot from him. He really epitomized the concept of being a coach who cared about his players. But what I really learned is his attitude towards adversity in life, especially after what he's been through. He recently did a presentation to the senior school about what he learned when he had brain cancer. And one of the messages he had that really stuck with me was that you all have it in you to beat any adversity in your life. Even if you don't think you can now, you will when it comes. And he is a living, breathing example of these words. I truly believe no matter what I face in life, I can beat it and come out the side a better person. And that's in large part to the example of him. What sums this up is at the 1993 ESPY Awards, Jim Valvano, who was an NC State basketball head coach, spoke on the idea of overcoming adversity. And he said, I just got one last thing. I urge all of you, to enjoy your life, the precious moments you have. Cancer can take away my physical abilities, but it cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul. And those three things are going to carry on forever. So finally, to finish, I want to thank two people who I often don't give enough credit for, and that's my parents. Take it from them, they know how much I love sports, and they've always given me the opportunity to play anything. Whether it's my mom taking me to endless practices and not moaning at all the sports me and my dad constantly watch, thank you. Or whether it's my dad who watches many of my basketball games even though I know he can't stand the sport or understand any of the rules, thank you. And I want to touch on something I said at the beginning of my speech, and it's the quote, it's not all about winning. And like I said, this statement changed over time for me, and it finally shifted this year at provincials for soccer. We had just lost the shootout, meaning we could no longer come in the top 8, and I rolled my ankle the game before, and I knew I was never going to play another game again. And I'm not afraid to admit this now, but I was crying a little bit, and I remember while I was taking my cleats off, my dad came up behind me, and I remember he said this, I'm so proud of you for how much you cared for your teammates this year, and the leadership skills I've seen from you. Now that meant more to him than winning any trophy. And that's the moment I knew it wasn't all about winning. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Bella. Many people think that young people who travel are lost, but I believe that traveling is essential to becoming a global human and to becoming someone who is connected to the world as a whole. I believe that traveling is one of the most important aspects of life. Without travel, one is limited to the thousands of cultures they can otherwise experience. One cannot be 100% open-minded, and they can't utilize the full capacity of their abilities until they're given a chance to explore the world. It is easy to be connected with one particular culture. I was born in Hong Kong and lived there until I was 15. When I was 5, my first Chinese teacher asked me where I was from, and I said Hong Kong. He said that was impossible because I wasn't Chinese. But it wasn't the color of my skin that made me belong. This was just the place that I called home. I knew that I was from Hong Kong, I just didn't understand why I felt this. My dad worked in Singapore towards the end of my primary school years, and I split my time between Hong Kong and Singapore. Singapore started to become a second home, and it gave me another identity. I loved experiencing new cuisines and hanging out in the Sentosa resort. This was a whole new Asia. Chinese, Malay, and Indian cultures all squished together on this tiny island. Singapore is so connected to the rest of Asia, and we as a family traveled a lot. I saw new and different cultures, places I identified with, places I was scared of. I learned to see beauty in different ways. The beaches in Thailand, the Lake Palace in India, the Dara Devi in Chiang Mai, and the list goes on. I had a sense of fear when I first wandered the streets of Delhi. There was poverty the likes of which I'd never seen before. There was the thrill of the huge maze that makes the crazy markets in Bangkok, and the opulence of the murder mystery party we went to on Pankil, a private island in Indonesia. And when I was back in Hong Kong, we continuously traveled. I holidayed in Shanghai, had school trips to Xi'an and Yunnan. I never considered where my friends were from. They were from anywhere and everywhere, and it didn't seem to matter as we were connected over these shared identities that Asia was giving us. When I was 15, I decided to go to boarding school in England, I expected boarding school was going to be easy, but I knew nothing about the British culture. I didn't share this British identity, even though I had a British passport and a British accent. I was a foreigner in a land that I should have been calling home. I found the English harsh and it was culturally confusing. My adaptation was slow, but undoubtedly it was the travel I experienced in my childhood that pulled me through. The changes in locations, friends, and cultures that I had already experienced gave me a way of being able to relate to this new culture. I can't say that I will ever identify with being British, but I think I know now what it means to be British. And for these last 2 years I've been living in Kelowna. It's been an amazing experience. Being able to meet new people always excites me, and having the opportunity to be exposed to many different cultures is one of the best gifts my parents could give me. I figured out that Arsenal isn't actually a football team, it's a soccer team. I realized you don't put petrol in your car and that hockey was played on ice. This isn't my first time living in Canada, as when I was 4 I spent 4 months in Vancouver, but I don't really remember it. Living in Canada gives me a chance to explore Central, North and South America, places I've only ever seen in TV and in my dreams. But I feel the pull of travel again. There is so much more to learn in life, lessons one can only learn by exploring. I truly believe that my soul belongs not in one nation, country or continent, but in all of them. I know that being a traveler does not make me stateless. I am from Hong Kong, but I have many identities, whether it be Asian, British or Canadian. Each of these help me to see the world in different ways. I believe that traveling allows a person to become more open-minded, accepting and at peace with the world. Traveling for me personally is helping me find the person who is less prejudiced, someone who has a broader sense of humanity, and by continuing to travel I will find my real identity as a global woman. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paige Krivishine, and I believe that being a part of a sports team promotes personal development and growth and is the best strategy to maintain mental, social, and physical well-being. Growing up, I was a ballerina. Dancing was my passion, and I dreamt that one day I would make it big in the dancing world. But somewhere along the way, around the age of 12, I spontaneously joined a soccer team. Dance was great. I loved it, and it helped me gain a sense of poise and independence. But something about being on a team changed me. I'm going to admit, the first season was rough. I had no idea what I was doing, and I felt like I was constantly running in circles. But my coach kept pushing me and told me that I already had the unteachable skills, like the determination and the work ethic, and the other skills would come with practice. At this age in particular, I was very ambitious. I literally believed I could accomplish anything if I tried hard enough. So I thought, hey, why don't I go try out for the city's rep team? I thought it would be an amazing accomplishment, and something inside me told me that it was a definite possibility. So my mom signed me up, and off I went. Thinking back, my mom was probably concerned that I'd be let down. She probably didn't think I was actually going to make it, which, fair enough, I barely had any experience. But that wasn't going to stop me. I went in full force, sprinting back and forth, completing as many passes as I could, taking lots of shots. I was literally willing to do whatever it took. The last 10 minutes of the game came around, and I felt more grit and ambition stirring inside. I knew that if I did not do something that really stood out, I wouldn't make it. So the first thing that obviously came to mind was scoring. Luckily, I had just received the ball at the top of the 18-yard box, and I dribbled in and took a shot. The goalie blocked it, but she'd hit it so hard that it lined up perfectly with my face, and as I had not stopped sprinting, the force of my body planted the ball in the back of the net. I scored, and later that week found out I made the team. A couple years passed, and I had now fallen completely in love with soccer, so I decided to hang up my ballet shoes for good. My dance teachers and friends were upset and in disbelief. They continuously tried to get me to stay, but I just knew it was time for a change. At this point, I was playing on the Okanagan's high-performance team, with aspirations to hopefully play varsity soccer one day. Soccer has taught me a lot of skills that I catch myself using in my everyday life. Mentally, I am stronger. I am able to battle through times of weakness, discouragement, as well as major setbacks. If I get injured, or I'm playing a highly ranked team, or I'm overwhelmed in the midst of school, soccer, and whatever else may be going on, I have the ability to calm myself and map out steps for my success. I am grateful for this capability, as it will benefit me endlessly throughout the rest of my life. Physically, I am stronger. Being an elite athlete has given me the opportunity to not only form healthy habits, but to gain muscle and learn more about my body in depth. I've had the opportunity to take part in a variety of training, such as endurance, weightlifting, and boxing. I've also learned how to help my body recover from intense sessions or games. Methods such as ice bathing, stretching, and rolling out my muscles with a foam roller are very useful. I also have the knowledge to fuel my body efficiently by keeping my nutrition in control. Having these skills assures me I have the ability to continue living a healthy lifestyle for life. Socially, I am stronger. Being on a team, you become familiar with the importance of team culture. Regardless of each other's differences, each and every one of us have a special connection. Being on a team can mean a variety of things, but for me, it means being and acting as a family. It is crucial to be there for each other, throughout the victories, the losses, the injuries, the questionable referees, and so on. My belief is that a team with a weak culture makes for an unsteady team. Therefore, a strong team culture is the pathway to success. In my eyes, a strong team culture consists of committing to practices, to eating well so your body can perform to its highest potential, resting, and most importantly, committing to each other. Support is another factor of a solid team culture. Being there for one another through the challenging and rewarding times is essential. All in all, I believe it is in one's best interest to play on a sports team so they can develop the lifelong skills that I have. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kirsten. Today I've been asked to speak to you all about what I believe in and how this will shape my future. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't really have much to say. The reason being that I don't know what I believe in yet, but I can tell you that it's okay. As of right now, I'm not 100% sure on where I'm going or what I'm doing, but this uncertainty doesn't really bother me. I suppose the one thing I believe in right now is possibility. I stand before you on the cusp of my entire life, at 17 years old and about to embark into the real world, or so I'm told. My journey is only just beginning. In 4 months, I will be off to university. There I will hopefully expand my horizons. Leaving behind high school is typically a daunting thought. For me, it holds more excitement than fear. For the past 7 years, I have been at Aberdeen Hall. This place has become a home of sorts. Here my teachers have helped me to develop a critical mind, a skill that will be invaluable no matter where I end up in the future. They have also welcomed my questioning nature. The educators here have helped me to learn how to ask the right kind of questions. Questions that challenge the norm, and questions that will hopefully lead me to find all that I seek. I would like to take this time to thank all of the teachers here who have helped me to develop academically. It is thanks to you that I can confidently step into my academic future. When thinking about my time spent at Aberdeen, a quote by Malcolm X popped into my head. It goes as follows: "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." End quote. More than this, my parents have instilled in me the qualities that will help me succeed no matter what form in which I will have to face adversity. My dad has taught me the importance of hard work. He has instilled in me a determination that will trustfully take me further in life. For my mom, she has showed me what integrity looks like. Together, my parents have displayed kindness time and time again, proving through their individual action that there is no substitute for generosity. Without their guidance, I'm not sure where I'd be today, but I do know that they have done all in their power to prepare me for whatever lies ahead. With the combined efforts of all my mentors, I can wholeheartedly say that I will be leaving high school behind with a full set of tools to jump into an adult life, or kind of adult life. All of this possibility is due in part to the guidance of those around me. Because of this, I am joyfully looking ahead and excitedly waiting for my journey to begin. Of course, there is still a bittersweet aspect. Even behind my teen years will be difficult. Saying goodbye is never easy. With this all said, I'm looking forward to what lies ahead of me. My feeling of wonderment heavily outweighs my nostalgia. This I believe in my future and myself, and that no matter where I end up, my life will be full of possibility, and I plan to take advantage and learn from whatever comes my way. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Larry. Today I'm going to talk about my passion and what I believe in. Cars have been my passion since I was little. As time has gone by and I have grown up over time, cars are not only my passion but have inspired me to set a goal to become an automotive engineer in the future. My goal has become a part of my life that motivates me to be the person that I strive to be. We all have goals, whether it is long or short. It serves as an inspiration or a motivation that gives you your purpose for life. Coming to Canada has served as a reflection of my life in Hong Kong, where I lost track of my goal, and a reminder to myself to pursue it. Goals are an essential part of our life. Without it, we are just shells with no purpose to be living in the world. Despite setting a goal for myself, I learned most about the way to achieve my goal by keeping myself motivated in the long haul. My father was the first person to introduce cars to me. He used to always bring me with him and drive to the Island Eastern Corridor, which is a main highway in Hong Kong. The feeling that the high speed gave me had me interested in knowing more about cars. The sound of the engine, the view from the window made me feel thrilled about one day driving my car down the same highway. A couple years later, I learned more about cars from my father and started to read car magazines and watched lots of Japanese car shows. At that time, I gave myself a goal that one day I would be one of those people who designs and manufactures new cars for the drivers. It was really easy to have a goal in your mind when you're still a little kid with nothing to worry or stress about. It is also easy to lose track of your goal if you don't put any effort and interest on it. Henry Ford said, "Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal." Students in Hong Kong are known for following the traditional path of getting good grades and going to universities. As a part of the group that followed the path before coming to Canada, all my efforts were needed to be put towards either my grades or extracurricular activities just to make sure your profile is competitive enough with the others when applying for universities. I totally lost track of my goal because the way I chose to live my life in the past. I no longer watched or read anything about cars. All my time were put into revisions and homeworks. There wasn't any spare time for me to focus on other unnecessary things in my life. But in grade 9, I met a friend that brought my goal back on track in my life. His name is called Elfield. He's a car enthusiast who talks about cars all the time. We soon became good friends and cars was the topic that we talked about the most. We used to always find a day to go to car showrooms and look at all the exotic and fast cars. It was an amazing experience and opportunity for myself to meet a person that has the same passion with me and to share our thoughts together. It is also important to find a way to keep yourself motivated to extend in the long haul of pursuing goals. Once you find it, you're a step closer in achieving it. After regaining interest on my goal, I realized Hong Kong was not the right place. Everything was too stressful and there was no space for me to pursue my goal. Because of it, I decided to go to Canada for a better environment. My life here has been less stressful than before and the school has given me lots of spare time to think clearly about what I wanted to be in the future. As the end of high school became closer, I had to consider what path I wanted to go for in universities, and this had me constantly think about what my goal is. By reflecting on my past, it reminded me what my goal has been since I was little, and the purpose of me coming to Canada. Therefore, I considered to study mechanical engineering in university. In conclusion, it's important to have a goal for yourself as it reminds you the purpose of your life and pushes you to work harder in order to achieve it. This is why I believe the pursuit of goal is the motivation and purpose for life. In the past, I lost track of my goal once. My advice to all of you to think about is always ask yourself what your goal is when you're lost. And no matter what kinds of obstacles that stand in your way, keep yourself motivated in your long haul of pursuing goals. Thank you.
Okay, folks, we're going to take about a 5-minute break because classes are about to transition. So we're just 5 minutes, let the noise die down, and then we'll bring Riley on up.
Hello? Okay. Okay, so I'm Riley. Just gotta get my pages organized because I did not memorize this. So this whole process made me realize that I would be a really bad author and I'm not a very good public speaker. While I was trying to write this speech, I sat with my computer on my lap with a blank document open and stared at it for what felt like forever. I didn't know what people would want to hear me say, and I couldn't think of what would be right to use this time for. Surprisingly, being given all this freedom to speak in front of an audience about whatever I want is a lot of pressure. In addition to this, I'm a less impressive public speaker because I memorized absolutely none of this speech. After deliberating what to write about for far too long, I decided I would talk about the 6 most important things I've learned as I've grown up, because they're the lessons that are significant to my life and have made me who I am now. Firstly, I learned how valuable it is to find your passion. I was fortunate enough to be a child that tried absolutely everything. However, even though my parents constantly tried to tell me otherwise to boost my confidence, I was only good at a few of these things. I did violin, piano, ballet, hip-hop, jazz, guitar, drama, singing lessons, basketball, soccer, until finally I found something that piqued my interest, which was volleyball. I was lucky to finally find something where my skill level and passion were in sync. Since then, I've had the opportunity to captain 7 seasons of school and club volleyball and spend years practicing and competing at something I truly love. As a student, it's super easy to get caught up in school, work, and other commitments, but one thing I will always be grateful for is the opportunity to find what I love and have the ability to work at it every day. Throughout my life, I took this opportunity for granted, and in retrospect, I would have appreciated it a lot more. I already miss playing volleyball so much, and I know that feeling is just going to grow over time. I truly believe that no one will regret the search for their passion, even if it takes time and energy, and if you think you're already too busy, just trust me. Everyone deserves to find something that makes them feel confident, happy, and fulfilled. The second thing I've learned is that experiencing life is so much better when you have genuine friends. Next year, my friends will be at Kelowna, in Victoria, Alberta, and even in Asia. One will be a 5-minute walk away, and one will be 6 feet away from me in the same dorm room. Most of you know my friends and the bubbly, bright people they are. I firmly believe that Aberdeen would not be the place it is now without the spirit that my friends bring to every school event, pep rally, or basketball game. I learned that companionship makes successes seem sweeter and makes failure seem less painful. Times in my life where I experienced doubt, where I literally could not stop crying, I never once felt alone. Times when I was out of line, my friends kept me in check. They told me what I needed to hear, even if it's not what I wanted to hear. With all of this, my friends are also complete individuals. None of us are alike in every way, but we share qualities that highlight one another. I think there is so much value in finding people that you wholeheartedly love as family because it ends up making you a better person. My friends see things in me that I never saw in myself, genuinely believe in me, and never ever let me forget how much they love me. And I wouldn't give up the friendships I've made for anything in the world. I've also learned that I'm allowed to tell people that they're in the wrong, regardless of their position in comparison to mine. If they're a faculty member, my parents, or an employer, I believe that if they've done something wrong, I'm allowed to tell them. With that, I believe respect for authority is important and may make someone more likable, but I firmly believe it shouldn't overpower our personal convictions. If we only progress further by losing sight of our inner principles, can we ever truly be satisfied? I think this is key to development because most of the time, us students are under the impression that we must submit to our superiors regardless of what we're being told. And in my life, I want to teach my children to have strength of will. I want them to recognize and fight for the kind of treatment they deserve, even if it may have some consequences. Another lesson I've learned is how influential people can be. When I was in grade 8, I had a math teacher named Mr. Vesey. And oftentimes he would tell us stories about his past, where he came from, and his experiences with students. Before I was taught by this particular teacher, I shared the same values with my friends, who considered any teacher that would drop the occasional swear word to be cool. In a way, this lesson relates to my previous point about authority figures. Before that class, I respected my teachers because I didn't know any better, because it was the right thing to do. I'm not under the impression that most teachers care about gaining students' genuine respect. I believe that teachers care more about students not outwardly showing disrespect. Mr. Vesey was different from any of my other teachers because, first of all, he was just really cool, and he had the most eloquent view on life, and the way he talked about his relationship with students was something I hadn't heard before. Oftentimes he'd talk about how he wanted to write a book and how he wanted to share his perspective with the world. It was as if he treated us all like equals, which as a grade 8 I was unfamiliar to. I was taught by Mr. Vesey again in grade 10, which I found out was going to be his last year at Vernon Secondary, the school I was at a couple of years ago. I told Mr. Vesey that I planned to switch schools and come to Aberdeen after my semester of math class was over. We both ended up leaving around the same time. And before he left, I wanted him to know how much guidance he gave me and how special it was to be taught by him. So I decided to get him a blank journal, something he could kind of start his book with. And it sounds like an underwhelming gift, but at the time it seemed like a good idea. After the journal was bought, I kind of let it travel around VSS for a couple days, and I asked students who were taught by Mr. VC to write their final words to him. And collectively, us students ended up filling the first and last pages with messages. And on my last day of school, I went up to his room with the journal in hand and found out he wasn't there, so I just asked the principal to pass it on, even though I wouldn't be there to give it to him. So fast forward to about 12 months ago, which was over a year since I left VSS. And I was there for a night watching my friends play when I saw him again. And the first thing he said to me was, "Thank you." And without discussing it, I actually kind of knew what he was talking about. We talked about school life and our future, and my future, and as I walked away to leave the school at the end of the night, he kind of called after me and said, "Do you know why that gift meant so much?" And I kind of looked at him and he pointed at me and he said, "Because it came from you." So that's my story, and the point of that lesson was mainly to show how my teacher influenced me by treating me like an equal, and introduced me to the concept of being respected regardless of age. And without realizing it, I learned that I influenced him as well. Naturally, we remain unaware of the ways we make others feel, but what we fail to realize is how it turns out to shape their character. In my life, Mr. VC played a huge role in shaping my character as a student and as a young adult. I've also learned the value in making mistakes. My parents, friends, and teachers can all vouch for the fact that I'm far from a perfect daughter, friend, and student. I definitely have had my share of bad decisions, but in the end, I became who I am due to those choices. A fair share of them weren't pivotal growing moments for me and were mostly just unnecessary poor choices, but I'm not going to focus on those. I'm talking more about the mistakes that you make in your life where you can tell that you're going to grow from the results. The times when you think about what you've done wrong and genuinely feel like you've been punched in the stomach, those aren't always bad. Fortunately enough, my parents liked to lecture, and there weren't many times when I would do something wrong have it go without a strict motivational speech. In my opinion, the mindless, careless mistake making is the thing that will truly hurt you in life. If you're smart about your failures, you know that it all means that there is space for growth. For a long time, I believed that failures were reason to hold a pity party for myself. And as I've grown, I've realized that through assuming responsibility for my errors, I actually gain the power to avoid them in the future. Lastly, I've gained appreciation for the things in my life that are consistently there and regularly overlooked. Things like my mother's whistle at my volleyball games, my father making me breakfast on weekends, and my sister's daily offers to help me study. Things like girls' nights, road trips to tournaments, and the same smiles from my friends every morning. Things that as my life moves on, I'm going to see less of. These times that will be replaced with new daily occurrences that will be unfamiliar, but that I'll need to get used to. Even just by writing this speech and taking time to consider the most valued things I can take away from my life so far, so much of it went unnoticed. And as I think about it now, the background noise in my life may be the most powerful component of who I am. Finally, I've learned that the things I overlook or pass by in my life could do with a little more consideration. I've learned that experiences in my life need to be lived in the moment and not underestimated at the time. When I began writing this speech, I had every intention of getting it over with and passing it by. Now, through reflection and consideration, I feel like it's been turned into something more meaningful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alexis. Coming up with an idea for this speech was hard for me because I believe in a lot. But one day I was in the hallway and I saw a girl standing alone trying to get someone's attention, but no one paid attention to her. This is when I knew what I was going to talk about. I could picture myself 7 years ago standing alone with no one to comfort me. I knew what this girl was feeling because I've been there. A lot of people have, and it's a horrible feeling. That feeling of being detached, lonely, and isolated has a negative impact on yourself, and it can consume you. I often see this girl in the hallway. She's quiet. She reminds me of someone I know quite well, and that is myself. When I was younger, I didn't have many friends. Some kids weren't very nice to me, and I would be really hurt. I had to go through each day hurting, but everything turned out pretty good, if you ask me. Through this, I have come to believe that surrounding yourself with people that truly care about you is essential. Everyone has heard of bullying, knows what it is, knows the types, but I feel like so many people have talked about it that kids don't pay attention to it. Bullying is a serious issue, and it's something that people should not mess or joke around with. People make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've said things I shouldn't say. I've done things I shouldn't do. Mistakes happen. We are human. But people who continuously live each day to harm others need to be dealt with. When I was younger, I went through some really hard years. I was an extremely sensitive and quiet kid, didn't have friends, and didn't feel accepted. I went home each day after school and cried, every day, all the way home. All I wanted was a group of people that liked me. All I wanted was to please people, but I got nothing in return. My mom always said that things were going to get better, and I really felt that they weren't. I didn't think I was ever going to have friends. I am so thankful that my mom and dad and sisters were there for me when I went through this, because without them, I don't know what I would have done. I love school. I've always loved school, but these years were hard for me. There were people who would be friends with me one day and not the next. I would have all this hope, and then it would be taken away. This happened repeatedly. What I went through, I see today. Why are people mean? Why wake up each day and want to hurt people? You read all these stories of people taking their own lives because of someone who bullied them, or a group of people that bullied them. This isn't acceptable, and it's not a joke. I was so happy for the first day of grade 10. A certain group of people changed my life. I actually had friends, and not fake ones, but ones that really cared for me. I am so thankful for those people. They made me excited to come to school. I've become a stronger person because of what I went through. And then grade 11 came, and a few more people brought me so much joy. These amazing friends have taught me so much, and I appreciate each of them because they really did change my life. One person who especially helped me was Riley Sturm. As everyone knows, Riley is a pretty confident guy. No explanation needed. He influenced me. He taught me to be more confident and be more comfortable in my own skin. He taught me to stick up for myself. He helped me with choices and decisions. He was always there for me. His happy attitude and his cheerful smile didn't just light up my day, but everyone's. I don't know why I'm crying. His attitude radiated to everyone. I am grateful I met him. Underneath all that goofiness, there is a genuine, sensitive, good guy. I'm not just saying these things to make his head bigger than it already is. I'm saying it because I am truly thankful for him. I'm not only thankful for this awesome group of grade 12 students, I am thankful for the teachers and all they do to help their students succeed. I am thankful that they are willing to stay after school for extra help and tutorials. I am also thankful that they are all nice people who care. I love the teachers at Aberdeen Hall. I am especially thankful for my family, my mom and dad who have always been there for me and have always had my back. Without them, I would not be living the life I live today. They have continuously worked and lived to see my sisters and I have smiles on our faces. I think they succeeded. I wouldn't want to be living any other life but this one. I wouldn't want any other family. I wouldn't want to go to any other school. I am thankful for my parents so much and all the work they have put in so that their children have a happy life. My dad is so hardworking and has so much determination. Both my parents have allowed me to have many opportunities, have driven me to hundreds of soccer practices and games, have driven hours to just come watch me play, have supported me in my singing, have cheered me on through many singing competitions and performances. I think JJ is pretty sick of hearing my voice. Actually, I'm sure of it. My family has done so much, and I am so thankful. And I guess my mom was right. Life did get better. Believe it or not, your parents are always right. Well, most of the time. Whether it be your family, friends, or teachers, having people around you that truly appreciate you and bring out the best in you is the most important. This I believe. Thank you.
Oh, wow, never thought I'd have to raise a mic up. Okay, my name is Riley, as most people know, and my I believe speech is it's something about my story. And to tell you what I believe in, I would have to take you back to my childhood to help you understand why I actually believe in this. I was born in Alberta, but at the age of 7, I moved to Costa Rica, a completely new beginning, away from suburban life and out into the wilderness. It was an opportunity that arose which my mother and father both accepted. Since my father was away all the time in the oil field, he thought we might as well live the best life we could. So he made this sacrifice to move us to Costa Rica. While on the other hand, he had to slave away in the freezing deserted land known as Alberta. which I could honestly never thank him enough for what he's done for me. He basically sacrificed his entire life for this family. Anyhow, the life most people would call a fantasy is what I got to live, living my days on a beach house, surfing, watching the sunset. This didn't help me either, as I simply got more lazy. And why not make life a little bit better? I ate horribly. Every day was junk food day. I had candy wrappers exploding out of my pockets all the time. But when high school came, I was no longer that cute little short kid. I was now known as the cute, weird, short, fat kid who everybody teased because it was funny. At the time, I would just shrug it off and laugh. When physical bullying started, things got worse. This was the downfall of my early years in high school, and I was given the nickname Lard Cake. Love it. At this time, I would get home and just shrug it off like nothing happened, until one day I took off my shirt and I had bruises all over my chest. This is where my mom lost her mind. But to me, I didn't really care. I was just floating through life however I could. That first step in change was realizing that you do have a problem. So I knew I had to make some sort of change, and adopted my mom's favorite hobby, which was the gym. I started off by asking her to train me, which this was an awful idea, as I knew she wasn't going to be nice to me. Like, she's usually nice to all of her clients, but I knew what was like coming down. The first week was honestly the worst week I've ever had in my entire life. She trained me every single day until I threw up, but no matter that, I still persevered and pushed through it. And this struck my passion for fitness, as somehow I became addicted to it, just to see like how far I'd come and see my physical changes. This helped me start, which was my first ever goal, which was to get a six-pack in 6 months. Obviously, it was a failure, but it helped push me to the limit, which is where I found what I truly believe in, which is what helped me write this speech. I believe in moral dedication, being able to push yourself to that absolute limit, and the ability to believe in yourself. My dad always told me to shoot for the stars. When your dreams are like coming true, never try to obtain a goal some might see as realistic, because that's just average. If you have an average goal like everyone else, you're going to get an average outcome, and you're most likely going to get what everyone else is getting. Well, if you dream almost unreachable and truly shoot for the stars, that will be where you get your extraordinary outcomes and truly differ from others. I was trying to obtain my goal of getting a six-pack, and yes, the goal can be actually that simple, but I found that unless I put in serious work, it wouldn't happen. When it's everyone's lazy day and they're putting in 50%, we have to stand up and realize that we need to push past them and put in 100. I am the living evidence that if you put in 100% and really work, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. Now as I look around me, I always have one of the most amazing friend groups who have really taught me almost as much as my parents have about me. One other special person who has made the greatest lasting impacts on me, other than my family members, is Alexis Watson. She basically taught me everything that I know, even though she claims she didn't know I existed throughout almost all of 11th grade year in a class of like 27 people. She helped mold me into a kind, modest, and as she said, a confident person I am today. And without her help, I'm not sure how the last 2 years would have turned out. I will have never-ending gratitude for not only her and my family members, but the entire Aberdeen community. They have helped me grow and given me this chance to speak in front of all of you today. Thank you, and I would like to say a special thank you to my mom for doing everything for me, basically.
Well, I'm not going to follow up with my own I Believe speech, but I am going to say thank you very much to the grade 12s for a fantastic afternoon of your thoughts and sharing some pretty personal feelings and some great insights on the world around us. So a little round of applause for the grade 12s. If you want to watch the videos, they will be up on the YouTube channel, so that link is in your My School. If you want to see the speeches from the rest of the week, Tomorrow morning, we have another crew coming on around 9 o'clock, and then I believe on Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock as well. So stay tuned, more speeches to come, and thanks again. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot.